Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday. Greetings, salutations. Thanks for being here. We're with you for the next 3.5 hours today on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And of course, on our video channels, you can catch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're checking out the show today, thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a bit. Brendan Orzinski is off today. I say 3.5 hours. We got a little overtime later on for you today, taking you up until 6:30 instead of our usual 6 o'clock. At 6:30, we'll pass the baton to the K-State Sports Network from Learfield as the Kansas State Wildcats take on the West Virginia Mountaineers in Big 12 men's basketball action. That's a 7:30 tip-off, which means it's an 8:30 tip-off in Morgantown. Why are they tipping off so late? Do you have to ask? It's television. They're on FS1 tonight. So a bit of a late one out east. 7:30 is a normal-ish time for a sporting event to start here at the very least. But we'll have the action for you from the K-State Sports Network from Learfield here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So a little bit more of us today. We'll have an overtime conversation of the day for you leading up to that one, and we'll be off at 6:30 today. Plenty to talk about on the show today. Going to talk a lot of football. It is not yet Super Bowl week. This week, of course, the calm before the storm. Super Bowl 60, 2 Sundays from today in Santa Clara at Levi's Stadium between the AFC champion New England Patriots and the NFC champion Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. Can you believe it? How about that? Isn't that something? Anyhow, I'm still not over it. I'm still very excited. We're going to discuss a little bit about these two teams and the rare opportunity in front of the Chiefs in a few months at this year's NFL draft to add a blue chip piece and some of the prototypes that will be on display in Super Bowl 60 that the Chiefs might have the opportunity to add to their roster. This was actually inspired by a text one of you sent the show. So just so you know, when you text the program, when you comment on the YouTube live chat or you leave a comment on the YouTube or in Facebook or whatever, maybe it doesn't get read on the air, but it gets read. And sometimes it's a comment that we put in our hip pocket for later. And I put one in my hip pocket for today. So we're going to talk a little bit about that opportunity that is in front of the Chiefs come April to add a player who could do for the Chiefs next year what certain guys have done for this year's conference champions. Also, much was made during the season about explosive plays and the Chiefs' desire to generate explosive plays and their inability to actually generate explosive plays. Well, you have two teams that are going to play in the Super Bowl that show just how important those plays are. And the one thing I am still convinced could unlock a lot of them, both rushing and passing, for the Chiefs next season. So we'll get into some of that. Also, is it feeling like the needle's pointing a little bit closer every day to a Travis Kelce return for 2026? Because now you got Clark Hunt in the media on record saying, yeah, we want him back. It just kind of feels like that's the direction the tide is turning for now. And keep in mind, I've been of the belief since like last March that 2025 was going to be Travis Kelce's last season. Then he had himself a pretty good year that ended in extremely disappointing fashion. And now his guy Eric Bieniemy's back in the building, and Clark Hunt is openly saying, hey, he can still play. We want him back. We'll get into Clark Hunt's comments on Travis Kelce in just a little while as well. And Something else that we sort of nodded toward yesterday in our conversation with Matt Verderam, our NFL insider, but a broader idea in the NFL. How many more Sam Darnolds do you think there are? How many more guys do you think are change of scenery, second chance options that could elevate a team in a way that Sam Darnold's quality play, not elite play, we're not putting Sam Darnold in the elite class of quarterbacks, but he was good this year for most of the year. And he was really good in the NFC Championship game. And the Seahawks aren't in the Super Bowl without him. Are there any other Sam Darnolds out there? Cast-offs, maybe guys who are written off, guys who could benefit from a change of scenery. And might those players be better options, particularly for this coming season, for teams that are in the middle? Because this is shaping up to be one of the worst quarterback drafts in history. What would you rather do? Take a shot at somebody with some NFL experience or talk yourself into Ty Simpson? I know what I'd rather do. So we'll have that discussion a little bit later on in the show today. We're also going to talk some Jayhawks with our guest today, Michael Swain from Jayhawk from Fog.net. Joins us for Jayhawk Weekly, covers all things Jayhawk for Fog.net. We will talk to Michael about the win in the Sunflower Showdown on Saturday. We'll look ahead to a huge one this coming Saturday against BYU. College game day is going to be in the building at Fog Allen Fieldhouse, and it's going to be a fun one between KU and BYU. We're going to get that Darren Peterson, AJ Dybansa matchup, it looks like, and we'll get a bit of a preview of that as well with Michael Swain. He'll join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We'll preview tonight's K-State game as well. K-State at West Virginia. It's not a likely win, let's say that, but less important than whether or not they can win. Can they at least look like a team that's not counting the days till the end of the season? That's the big question for K-State tonight. Plus, we got all our usual Tuesday shenanigans. We'll do Random Question Tuesday. We've got another round of What Is Wrong With You coming up. We do our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Only 3 head coaching vacancies left in the National Football League after the Bills get their guy. After just a few days ago, the owner talked about how the failings of the Buffalo Bills came down to the coaching staff. It was the coaching staff's fault. They promoted their offensive coordinator and head coach today. Interesting. We'll discuss that when we get around to headlines. We have ways for you to make your voice heard on the program. I'd love you to avail yourself of those today. The text line is 785-272-9429. I want to hear from you in the text line, 785-272-9429. You can also get at us in the live chat on YouTube. Name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. You can subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It doesn't cost you anything but a click. Let's see if we can add another new subscriber today. If you're not already subscribed to that YouTube channel, we're at 915 and counting. Hop on it over to our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and smash or just click that subscribe button. And if you're in the live chat or you're watching the show as we broadcast it live on the radio every day from 3 to 6 Central Time, on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Jump in that live chat, say hello, interact with each other and your hosts, and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. See Mark H., Andrew, and Tyler in the chat today. Appreciate you guys being in, and look forward to interacting with you and others as we go along today throughout the program. Andrew points out 57 days till opening day. We're so close. We'll get to headlines today. One of the harbingers of spring, something that a real baseball sicko like me gets excited about, the non-roster invitees list for the Royals came out today. The NRIs. When you see those, you know spring training's right around the corner. You get that NRI list, it's just... It's either a bunch of minor leaguers that you've heard of, or it's guys. And not even guys. I'm not even sure Jorge Alfaro counts as a guy. He's kicked around. He played for the Rockies for a month. He was a big deal prospect back in the day. So maybe he is a guy. Sometimes it's just like, a journeyman reliever. Like, I don't think Jose Cuas is a guy. He's on the list. Welcome back, Jose Cuas. I missed that during the offseason. But anyhow, we'll get to that in headlines. The NRIs are out, which that always excites me. Anyway, that's how you get involved with the show today here on 580 Sports Talk. And like I said earlier, if you text the show, or if you leave a comment in the YouTube live chat, or if you comment on an archived YouTube video or on Facebook, I know a lot of times that's with the hope of us, reading it on the air live. We don't do that for everyone. We can't. It's just, it wouldn't be possible. But everything you send us, we read. We do. We read it all. And sometimes there's something that makes me go, I don't want to just talk about this for a minute. I want to expand on this. This is a good text. This is a good comment. I'm going to put this in my hip pocket, and we're going to get around to this a little later on. And we got a text like that yesterday. So if you're the texter from the 913 who sent this, kudos to you. But this text got me thinking yesterday. And the text read, after watching Seattle, we need to draft, he's referring to the Kansas City Chiefs here. We need to draft that safety from Ohio State with pick 9, just like the Seahawks built their defense. Gentleman he's referring to is Caleb Downs, the starting safety, for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He was a transfer from Alabama. He was freshman of the year in the SEC in 2023, made a huge impact for Ohio State over the last 2 seasons. There are some mock drafts out there that have Downs selected by the Chiefs with the number 9 overall pick in the upcoming draft. He is a consensus top 10 player, I think, on most draft big boards. Super talented guy. I like Caleb Downs as a player. I don't know that he's the kind of freak athlete that Nick Emanwari of Seattle is, because that's the player that our texter was referencing. Nick Emanwari is a rookie out of South Carolina, has reshaped the Seattle defense because he can play anywhere and do any job, and he's crazy athletic, fast and physical, and so he makes a lot of plays, doesn't miss tackles, he can cover, he can stop the run, he doesn't have to come off the field, he can line up in the box, he can line up in the slot, he can line up and play some deep safety, sort of like a queen on a chessboard. You can put him anywhere. And that's as a rookie. And he has made a massive impact on the Seahawks defense. But thinking about Emanwari got me thinking about some of the other prototype players that are going to be on display in Super Bowl 60 between the Seahawks and the Patriots. And how realistic it is that the Chiefs could have a shot at drafting a guy like that. Because there are guys on each team. And to be frank, Seattle's a little further along in their process than New England is. So there are more of these guys, these prototypes, on the Seahawks roster than on the Patriots roster. Also, the Seahawks, by consensus, have a better roster than the Patriots right now. Patriots have a lot more veteran guys on free agent deals than the Seahawks do. That's not to say the Seahawks haven't done anything in free agency, obviously. So they got their quarterback. But when you're looking at program changers or prototype star players on rookie contracts, it's hard to get those guys real late in the draft, right? Depending on the position. Like, you can get a franchise guard you draft in the 20s. The Seahawks took Gray Zabel, 18th, 17th last year's draft? And he looks like the kind of guy who can be a cornerstone at guard. Guard is guard. I'm talking about the other prototype guys that are going to see the field in Super Bowl 60. And Emanwari is one of those guys. And he was an early second-round pick because he didn't really produce at the level that a Caleb Downs did at Ohio State. But the athleticism and the versatility were very clear if you watched the tape. You were gambling on that raw talent, that raw athleticism, being able to be molded into something. Seattle made that gamble. It appears to be a gamble that has paid off. There aren't a lot of athletes like Nick Emanwari, but there's a player like him. Caleb Downs is not that kind of athlete, but he is that kind of piece. He can line up in the slot and cover. He can make plays in coverage down the field. He can line up deep. He can line up in the box. You can move him around. He can be a leader on your defense. The idea of him in a Chiefs uniform is really interesting because it probably means that the Chiefs decided to let Brian Cook walk. Now, not necessarily, but I think if the Chiefs re-sign Brian Cook, and to be honest with you, I think if there's anybody who is a pending free agent for the Chiefs that I feel most confident that they are going to bring back, it is Brian Cook. Then I wonder if there's room for him in the safety group. Now, a player like Caleb Downs should probably make room. You probably tell Shamari Connor, hey, thanks, but how's your special teams? And maybe that's where you go from there. But I think that as part of a broader plan to get even younger in the secondary room, or, you don't pay Cook top of the market safety money, and that maybe allows you to bring in a free agent running back that you like, or a free agent wide receiver that you really like, hang on to a Jalen Watson. Not all of those things, probably. The Chiefs are going to have cap room. They're going to make that work, but they're not going to be they're not going to have the Patriots kind of cap situation that New England had going into this season. But as part of a broader plan, I could see the Caleb Downs addition making a lot of sense for the Chiefs. I don't know that Steve Spagnuolo is as creative as Mike McDonald with his use of Emanwari, which kind of mirrors how McDonald used Kyle Hamilton when he was running the Baltimore defense before he got the Seattle job. But that's the kind of player that the Chiefs could get at number 9. Who else could they get at number 9? The Ringer had their mock draft come out today, their first mock draft. Clemson's Peter Woods, interior defensive lineman, was their mock draft pick. You're betting on the athleticism with Woods because it's freakish. There hasn't been a lot of production for Peter Woods in the middle of that Clemson defense. I think he only had 2.5 sacks this past season. But size-wise, athletically, you look at him and you see a 3-down defensive lineman, the big man in the middle. Who's that prototype in Super Bowl 60? Well, for the Seahawks, it's Byron Murphy, who was a top draft pick of theirs out of Texas. And he's a bit different. He's a space eater. He's a run guy. He's not somebody you're going to bring in on third down and send it the passer. But first and second down, he wrecks shop. He's part of the reason Seattle's really hard to run on. There isn't really that kind of player in this draft. Woods is the only player in the Ringer's top 32 on their draft board. There's not really a guy, a top of the draft talent other than Woods as an interior defensive lineman. Now, I think the Chiefs need help along the defensive line. I think it's likelier that they'd go edge if they did draft a lineman. I've seen Reuben Bain mocked to Kansas City. I love that idea. Maybe more realistic that they trade down and try to take Akeem Messidor, Bain's teammate at Miami, who's a little bigger. He's 280 pounds. That's more of a defensive end prototype the Chiefs have preferred. And the trade down discussions for another day, but I actually do think trading down could make some sense for a Chiefs team with only 6 picks in the draft. But that guy in the middle, that space eater, that game changer, interior defensive lineman, that could be available to the Chiefs in the draft. What about the number 1 wide receiver, the guy who's always open? The Seahawks have one of those guys on a rookie deal. They've got Jackson Smith-Njigba. Boy, is he outstanding. Could the Chiefs take a big swing at wideout with the number 9 pick? Would Carnell Tate of Ohio State be available at number 9? I kind of think no. I think he's the best receiver in the draft, so I kind of think he wouldn't. But that would be a guy with the kind of size and speed that the Chiefs really haven't had a lot of. Jordan Tyson's another one, bigger wide receiver at 6'2", out of Arizona State. Injury concerns coming off of his last college season, but he's a top 10 talent. Would that be a player the Chiefs might look at number 9? But having a guy who you can scheme open, who it seems like is always open, who could put up 1,000 yards. Does Rashee Rice feel like a perennial 1,000-yard receiver to you right now? I know it's a little bit unfair to ask that coming off of the suspension and a shortened season and the knee injury, and we don't know what he's going to look like physically. It should be better in 2026, but are we sure that's a 1,000-yard receiver perennially? And really only one more year to find that out, right? One more year on his rookie deal before you have to make a decision on Rashee Rice. Why not a wide receiver that could give you that kind of production on the high end? I didn't leave out the Patriots. They just, again, maybe don't have as many of those prototypes, or at least ones that would be appealing to the Chiefs with players on their rookie deals. But they do have in Christian Gonzalez a standout cornerback. I don't know that there's a lot of top-of-the-draft cornerback talent this year. The closest thing is maybe Mansour Delane out of LSU, or Avion Terrell, who's A.J. Terrell's younger brother. Avion Terrell out of Clemson. But that could be a player that the Chiefs look at adding, particularly, again, if that's part of a larger plan to reformat the secondary, get a little younger, maybe let some guys walk, maybe trade Trent McDuffie. There could be an opportunity to look at corner at number 9 in the first round. So those are just some of the guys you're going to see in Super Bowl 40 or Super Bowl 60, excuse me, LX, not XL. I don't want to relive Super Bowl 40. Let me tell you that. These are some of the guys you're going to see in Super Bowl 60 on rookie deals who were drafted pretty high in the draft, with the exception of Smith and Jigba, who went 20th, and Emenwari, who went early second round last year. But that kind of tool set, those kinds of blue chip athletes, the Chiefs have not had access to that, picking 31st and 32nd all this time. Well, this year they do. Which of those makes the most sense to you as a prototype the Chiefs might pursue with a top 10 draft pick? I think it might be wide receiver, to be honest with you. The more I think about that, the more I think, boy, if the Chiefs want to really bring their passing game back to another level, they've got to go get 1,000-yard wide receiver. Because I don't know if Rashee Rice is going to be that. If he's going to be that, and there are obviously the lingering allegations that were brought against him this offseason that the NFL is reportedly looking into. I have no idea where that goes. Not even going to hazard a guess. But is he somebody the Chiefs even want to commit to long-term? And if he's not, who's next? Because Xavier Worthy doesn't look like an 80-catch, 1,000-yard wide receiver in the league. I don't think he's big enough. He can be an explosive play generator, but can he be a 1,000-yard guy? I don't think so. But you can get that guy number 9 in the draft. So those are the guys who are going to be on display, and you can dream watching Super Bowl 60. Man, Chiefs get a guy like that. They actually could with the number 9 overall pick. I'm curious your answer, though. Which of those prototypes is most appealing to you, the Chiefs fan, going into April's NFL draft? Hit me up on the text line, 785-272-9429. You can also answer in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We got some more NFL and Super Bowl talk to get to in just a little while. Michael Swain is our guest today. We'll talk Jayhawks with Michael at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We are just getting started on this Tuesday. Glad you're here on 580 Sports Talk. 3:33 on 580 Sports Talk. Glad you're here. So we're just getting things started on this Tuesday. Talking about Chiefs draft. It's never too early, right? Never too early to get into the draft. We got one more NFL game left, and unless you have a rooting interest, I do. I have a rooting interest. The Seahawks are the Super Bowl, man. Crazy. Unless you have a rooting interest, you're probably already looking ahead to the NFL draft, and Chiefs with a rare opportunity to go get a dude with a top 10 pick. And there are some dudes out there. Andrew mentions Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. I think he's more of a rush end than a defensive tackle. I don't think he's necessarily a guy you put in the middle, depending on your scheme. But yeah, he's certainly an option. He's a top 15, top 20 guy on most big boards that I've seen. Very good player. Vance asked, do you think Denzel Boston from Washington would be available for the Chiefs? Here's the thing about picking ninth. Just about anybody is going to be available for the Chiefs. You really think about it. The only guy right now sitting here today, I am certain will not be available for the Chiefs is Fernando Mendoza. That's it. Anybody else? It's a free-for-all, right? Mendoza's going 1-1 to the Raiders. We all kind of see that one coming. But outside of that, it could be anybody there at 9. Denzel Boston's under big body wide receiver. The Ringers mock draft today, which I was reading earlier and was kind of the genesis for all this draft talk, in addition to that text we got on yesterday's show. They actually had Boston going at the end of the first round, had him going 32nd to Seattle. Big body wide receiver, good compliment to a guy like JSN. If you're seeing a guy late first round, end of first round in a mock draft, a lot of times those guys tend to be available with the 9th pick of the second round. So he could be an early second round option. So Andrew says they need to offload Juwan Taylor's contract. Don't you fret. That's happening. Look, there's but so many ways you can get to salary cap solvency and being able to spend money this offseason if you're the Chiefs, but all roads go through cutting Juwan Taylor. That's going to happen. I wish I could bet on that. I don't think the odds I would get would be very good, but I wish I could bet on it. You probably can. One of those ridiculous downfall of civilization prediction markets out there probably let you bet on it. But yeah, don't fret about Juwan Taylor's contract. That is going to be slathered in barbecue sauce and eaten for before he takes the field for a 4th year. That's definitely happening. The big picture question, the thing that will be really fascinating, and look, the draft's not for 3 months. We got a lot of time. I don't want to blow out February and March content, right? But the big question will be, if the Chiefs do have some money to spend in free agency, do they think their resources would be better spent defensively while addressing offense in the draft, or offensively while addressing defense in the draft? And my thought is it's probably going to be less expensive to go get offensive playmakers in the draft than it would be to get offensive playmakers in free agency. Like, it's fun to dream about, hey, Breece Hall and Alec Pierce, come on down. They would both, I think, make very good Chiefs. But if you do that, can you even afford to start a McDuffie extension? Can you afford to bring Brian Cook and Jalen Watson back? Because you need somebody to line up over on that side of the ball. So that's what the money is for Brett Veach this coming off season, is to make that particular decision. We talked a lot this football season about explosive plays as it pertained to the Chiefs, specifically their desire to create them, their early season ability to find them in the passing game, mostly through Tyquan Thornton, their season-long inability to generate them in the running game. Again, the Chiefs only had one rush play of 20 or more yards from a running back the entire 2025 season. That's one of those things that sounds like it can't possibly be real, and it is. It's not the most unbelievable Chiefs stat, That's still Alex Smith went a whole year without throwing a touchdown pass to a wide receiver. That's still the most unbelievable Chiefs stat I think I'll ever encounter. But yeah, Kareem Hunt had a 20-plus yard run against Jacksonville, and that was it. That was the only one. The only other two 20-plus yard runs for the Chiefs all year were a Xavier Worthy end around and a Patrick Mahomes scramble. That was it. But why do we harp on that? Why do we harp on explosive plays? Because they matter. And you know who knows they matter? The New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. On a per-play basis, no offense was better at generating plays of 20 or more yards this year than the New England Patriots. They were number one in the league in 20-plus yard play rate this season. As a percentage of snaps run, nobody ran more plays that went run or pass that went for 20 or more yards. The Seahawks were fourth in that department. And it matters to both teams to create those plays. They intentionally look to create those plays. You see that in Josh McDaniels' scheme for the Patriots. You see that in the players that they brought in on offense. Stephon Diggs, Travion Henderson is a rookie. It did work for him early in his career, but Kayshon Boutte has become a source of those explosive passing plays. And you also see it with regards to the Seahawks and their own scheme and how they use Jackson Smith and Jigba and what they traded to get Rashid Shaheed at the trade deadline this year. And now Shaheed did not do a lot in the regular season and has not done a lot in the playoffs as a receiver. But he did have a 50-yard reception to kick off the opening scoring drive in the NFC Championship game. And he did take an end around against the 49ers 30-plus yards. He did return the opening kick of that game for a touchdown. That's another place to find explosive plays. Special teams. Don't ask the Chiefs where all those went on special teams this year. But explosive plays matter. And I think that the Chiefs understand that. I don't think the Chiefs are blind to that notion or dismissive of the idea that explosive plays help you score. They've drafted guys with speed. Xavier Worthy is supposed to be an explosive play wide receiver. Didn't work out for him for a variety of reasons this last season, but the big picture, best case version of Xavier Worthy is a producer of those kinds of explosive plays. But the Chiefs couldn't generate them on a consistent basis throughout the 2025 season. And I really ultimately believe that their inability to do it in the running game and the passing game came down to the running game. Because as we laid out, the running game was not a real threat for the Chiefs. And when you don't have to respect the run, you can play two high safeties, you can play them deep as you want, and you don't give up those big take the top off the defense kind of passing plays. Just having a respectable run threat next season can make such a difference for the Chiefs offense. Can bring the deep ball back, can bring the explosive play back, can increase the chances of the Chiefs finishing drives, not just with points, but with 7 instead of 3. Because those plays matter. The Patriots offense, down over down, not spectacular, but explosive plays help you score touchdowns. Especially, you really think about it. Most drives anymore start between the 25 and the 35-yard line. You kick the ball through the end zone. You're giving the other team the ball at the 35-yard line. That's why they put a touchback now. Unless you drop it in the with a zone of opportunity or whatever the hell they call the kickoff between the 0 and the 20. I know they've got a name for that in the rule book, and I've totally blanked on what it is. But a lot of drives start at the 35. 20-plus yard play puts you, let's say you gain 20 yards. One play, 20 yards. You're at the 45. The plus 45. You only need one more first down, you're in field goal range. You don't even need a first down and you're in field goal range. An explosive play is points in this league. because of how suddenly it's easier to kick those 50-plus yard field goals. So placing a premium on making those plays and bringing guys in to make those plays, that matters a lot. And another argument in favor of the Chiefs looking for a guy like that with the number 9 pick in the draft in April. We'll take another timeout. When we come back, is Travis Kelce going to play another year? Because starting to feel like he's going to play another year. Clark Hunt would like him to play another year. We'll tell you what the Chiefs chairman said when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. .346 on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks to the two texters. 785-272-9429 is the text line. The two texters who chimed in to tell me the term I was looking for is the landing zone, which, does what it says on the tin, right? The landing zone between the goal line and the 20-yard line where you can land a kick so that you don't put the other team at the 35-yard line on a touchback. I think you put them at the 20 on a touchback if you land it, because that happened in the NFC Championship game. It landed inside the 20, carried into the end zone, and Rashid Shaheed took a knee for the touchback, and Seattle started that drive at the 20. So certainly does encourage kickoff returns. And I am so we've had a 2 years now with the new kickoff, basically. I'm okay with it. Like, I am. I think the idea that, we're introducing this for player safety, like, you just cannot have a safer cigarette. It's not possible. It's still a football play. Brains are going to get rattled. Bones are going to get jarred. Like, that's just how it works, how football works. There's nothing you can do to take that out of football except not play football. So I think the notion of it being a player safety thing has never, been real satisfying to me, but I do think the idea of encouraging the return and setting the return up as a football play of a different kind that requires a different kind of strategy and has created more opportunities to see kick returns. We see a lot more of them than we used to. Then I think it's been a positive change. I do. I'm for it. I know our sitting president feels very differently about it. He said so. But I got to disagree. I got to disagree with President Trump on this one. I think the change has been a net positive. I do. I like the new kickoff rule. Maybe you disagree with me, but I like it. I like it. Not just because Rashid Shaheed took that kickback for the Seahawks in the divisional round. I like the change. I think it was not fun to watch the Chiefs try and return kicks this last year. They got to get better at it. Dave Tobe's got to adapt a little bit, but I think it's been a good rule change. Clark Hunt was on Good Morning Football this morning. I did not watch that live. My office television does not get the NFL Network. But Clark Hunt was on Good Morning Football and was asked about Travis Kelce and whether or not he'll return for a 14th season with the Chiefs. And this is what Hunt said, quote, "As an organization, we certainly hope that he will come back. He had another great year, maybe not on par with where he was 4 or 5 years ago, but still had over 800 yards and was really one of the leaders on the offensive side of the ball for us. So there's no doubt in my mind that he can still play. We're trying to be respectful and let him have the time he needs to make a decision. He has sort of a busy offseason coming up with his engagement and marriage." Oh, he's getting married? I hadn't heard. "So we want to be respectful and give him the time he needs to make a decision, but we certainly hope that he'll be back." Between that and Kelce's obvious excitement that Eric Bieniemy is returning to the Chiefs coaching staff, I'm not going to say it's a deadlock Kelce returns, but I am starting to think it might be slightly more likely than not that he brings it back, that he decides he wants to play again. And the things pointing in that favor, number one, obviously, if the organization wants you back with open arms, that's a big deal. Doesn't sound like an organization or a team that is ready to move on. It'd be one thing, if the Chiefs said, "Look, thanks for the memories. We have your successor on the roster. We gotta reshape our offense. We can't be as reliant on you as we were in the past. We can't function with you only in this capacity. So we've got to move on for our sake." That doesn't feel like that's the case with the Chiefs. Doesn't feel like that's how Patrick Mahomes feels or how Andy Reid feels. So really what it's going to come down to is, does Kelce want to? Does he have the desire? And I think he's just such a football guy that he might not want to do like mini camp or even training camp, but I think he'd miss the week to week, and I think he'd miss Sundays. I don't remember. I'm sure if you went back to the archive, you would be able to say, "Dan, you said something completely different 2 months ago." But at the end of the year, I was probably about 90-10 he was going to retire. 90-10. Before the season, I would have said 100-0 he was going to retire. And he's one more year. They're going to make one more run at it. He's going to ride off into the sunset. But it was such an unsatisfying year from a team perspective. And I don't know how y'all feel about it. I don't want Travis Kelce's last NFL pass to have come from Shane Buechele. That doesn't sit right in my soul. So I am now like 55-45 he comes back. 55-45 he comes back. I think that I'm starting to believe he might just do it. Might just say, "Taylor, honey, one more year. I just need one more year. I'm not going to Tom Brady and play into my 40s and rob you of your opportunity in the limelight like he did to his wife, steal your career. I'm not going to do that. I just want to play one more year. I want to give it one more run with Patrick, and I want to give it one more run with Andy and EB, and I'm going to give it one more go." I'm starting to see that as more of a possibility. No decision he made would shock me. Andrew has 2 pertinent questions in the YouTube chat. What would the contract look like? Whatever he wanted, within reason, whatever the Chiefs could manage. You probably do like with his most recent extension. You give him a bunch up front, and you have some void years at the end of the contract. So or you make years 2 and 3 void years, so the money's not so bad on the back end. And then Andrew asked, if he's such a football guy, why is he passing up the Pro Bowl? Because the Pro Bowl isn't football. That was an easy one. Pro Bowl's not football. He's 36. What's he want to go play flag football with a bunch of youths? He wants to be out there doing the gritty with Shedeur Sanders? Absolutely not. No. I don't know why anybody goes to the Pro Bowl. Let that be for the youngins. Let the youngins have their fun. Travis has got a wedding to plan. That's why he's skipping the Pro Bowl games. We'll take a break, come back. We'll wrap up this hour. 580 Sports Talk next. .355 on 580 Sports Talk. 1 hour in the books, 2.5 more to go on today's show. Again, we're taking you up until 6:30 tonight. So we'll have an overtime conversation of the day between 6 and 6:30. That's when we'll hand it off to the K-State Sports Network from Learfield, K-State and West Virginia tonight at WVU Coliseum. I know they changed the name, but it'll always be WVU Coliseum to me. 7:30 tip-off, FS1, the TV network tonight to catch it. If you can't watch it on TV, you can hear it right here with Wyatt and Stan on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Still to come on the show, we're going to talk Jayhawks in the 4 o'clock hour. Michael Swain's going to stop by for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Ask him about Darren Peterson's progress after he sat out the K-State game. How's he trending for Saturday at home against BYU? Some early thoughts on that matchup. And, yes, a look back at the Sunflower Showdown victory for the Jayhawks as well. Michael Swain joins us every Tuesday at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. He'll join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour today. Also in the 4 o'clock hour, Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl quarterback, a conference championship winning quarterback. Instead of looking for the next Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, what if teams started looking for the next Sam Darnold? Probably not at the top of the draft, but if you're a middle of the draft, middle of the pack kind of team, like the Seahawks were, wouldn't it make more sense to look for your own Sam Darnold? And who's the next Sam Darnold? We'll talk about it in the next hour, 580 Sports Talk, right here on 580 WIBW. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday afternoon here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook stream, WIBW News. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis with you, hanging out with you until 6:30 tonight for some overtime between 6 and 6:30, up until we pass the rock to Wyatt and Stan in Morgantown. K-State basketball on the road tonight against the West Virginia Mountaineers. What are they calling the place now? WVU Coliseum?
Hope Coliseum.
Is
Hope
that
Gas Coliseum?
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is that named for somebody, or is it named for the nebulous concept of hope, or is it corporate? And it sounds like it's corporate. The gas company. Okay, he's nodding. If you're not watching the YouTube, I think he took a drink of water, so he's nodding. Anyhow, yeah, named after a company. Well, this year for opponents, and the headlines write themselves, it's been no Hope Coliseum because West Virginia is unbeaten at home.
Yeah, it is a locally owned and operated gas company.
There you have it. That's what they named it after.
Although everybody still calls it WVU. Everything I've seen.
Everybody, including me.
Including the broadcasters, when they came on for the KU game, they said, "Welcome to WVU Coliseum for this matchup."
Yeah, it's interesting they never found anybody to name it after. Like, you know, like KSU Stadium. It used to be KSU Stadium. Now it's Bill Snyder Family Stadium. When they, expanded it. And,
even their football stadium.
Makes a lot of sense. Is Milan Puskar, is he a donor, or what's the story on him? You went to their arch rival. You're not the West Virginia Mountaineer expert, but
I think he is like fellow big businessman,
money guy. So it's like Boone Pickens Stadium in at Oklahoma State.
Yes,
so name it after the guy with the money.
He was a former chairman and CEO of Mylon Inc.
There you go. I was a little surprised, honestly. They
healthcare company.
They should have named WVU Coliseum after Jerry West years ago.
Yeah, I think they're starting to realize how much Jerry West means to them with their new AD that just came in a couple years ago.
Okay,
they did like jerseys for him.
Sure.
Last year, like his era jerseys. I can't remember exactly the thing, but they honored him some way.
He is a native son of West Virginia.
Yeah.
He's not, didn't just go there. That's where he's from. He went to East Bank High School, was born in the state. Zeke from Cabin Creek. That's a guy they should have named WVU Coliseum after. Instead, now it's named after a gas company. But anyway, that's where
because they're making money.
Of course. You make more money doing that than you do doing something nice for a native son. But anyway, that's tonight. 7:30 tip, 6:30 pregame on the K-State Sports Network. Kansas State at West Virginia. We'll get into more of that a little bit later on in the show. We'll talk some KU hoops with Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. That's coming up bottom of this hour. Jayhawk Weekly. KU's got BYU on Saturday. I'll be in the building. I'll be at my first trip to Allen Fieldhouse this year. The timing hasn't worked out. I haven't been able to get to any home games this year, but I will be at Allen Fieldhouse for Saturday afternoon's game between the Jayhawks and the BYU Cougars. We get Peterson versus Dibansa. It sounds like all things are trending toward Darren Peterson returning to the KU lineup after missing Saturday's trip to Manhattan. So that'll be exciting. Did you catch any of BYU Arizona last night?
I did not, man. I was not on the TV last night.
That's all right. I believe me, if anybody knows what that's like to not be on the TV, it's yours truly. Anyway, different reasons, obviously, but I know what what that's like. Anyway, I caught about the last 5 minutes because I was I was doing the Topeka Invitational Tournament Championship game. This is an aside to an aside to an aside, but congratulations to Topeka West, Topeka Invitational Tournament champions, 65th edition of the tournament.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. They beat Topeka High last night, 71-57. That final score is deceiving. It was a much more competitive game than that. It was a 2-point game with 6 minutes left, but Topeka West just has a gear that they can get to in the second half of games. They are a bona fide title contender in Class 5A. I don't even think that was a great performance by them for 32 minutes. They got rattled a little bit. Topeka High flustered them in a very real way. Robbie Sanders' group played a great game, great effort, but Topeka West ends up winning it by 14. They take home the TIT title for the 5th time in their program's history and the first time since 2022. Anyway, that was an aside to an aside. That's where I was last night. That's why I didn't get to watch all of Arizona BYU. I watched the last 5 minutes. Arizona was ahead pretty comfortably for most of that game. And then they tried to give away a double-digit lead in the final 2 minutes. And it got to the point, I think it was like a 7-point game with a minute left, and then BYU had the ball down 1 with 11 seconds left in the front court. Braden Berry's made a terrific defensive play to block Rob Wright at the rim. It was a high-level basketball game. It was Matt Norlander of CBS Sports, I believe, referred to it on Blue Sky. It was a varsity game. Like, it was high-level stuff between those two teams. Those are two teams I think could go to the Final Four. I think Arizona's best team in the country. They, I thought, got a kind of a raw whistle in the final minute there at the Marriott Center, but that'll happen. They held on. They showed their toughness. They showed their grit. And BYU also showed that they're every bit as good. They can stand in the ring with them. Dibanza didn't play great. That was the difference. So it'll be fascinating to see how Dibanza responds, because I didn't think in the portion of the game that I watched even that he was particularly sharp, that he was maybe forcing things a little bit. So it'll be fascinating to see how he responds to a performance like that when they play KU on Saturday afternoon.
And when he's the emphasis of the game, right? Not from the outside perspective, how he takes that. Because I think you look at this game on Saturday, it's Darren Peterson versus AJ Dibanza. That's the big.
That's on the marquee, right?
Yeah, it's the marquee of why this game got game day coming to it.
Mm-hmm. Peterson's 2-0 against Dibanza.
Yeah,
in the on the prep circuit.
Yep.
But just chew on that a little bit. But no, it'll be a great game. Looking forward to that one. We'll talk about it with Michael Swain here at the bottom of this hour. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up as well. Going to talk a little NFL football to start this segment. And we want to hear from you on the show as we go along on this Tuesday. Text line is open, 785-272-9429 is the number. That's 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. We stream live every day on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And if you are subscribed, even if you're not, even if you're holding out on that, but you're watching us on YouTube anyway, jump in the live chat. Say hello. Interact with your fellow listeners. Help support and move along the conversation and grow the 580 Sports Talk community in the YouTube chat. So, Sam Darnold's going to play in a Super Bowl as the starting quarterback, which is pretty remarkable. He was the backup 2 years ago to Brock Purdy when the 49ers went to the Super Bowl. So this is his second time. But it is a little funny that of that vaunted quarterback draft class of 2018, it's him that gets to the Super Bowl as a starter first. Not Lamar, not Josh Allen. It's Sam Darnold who gets there first. And on his 5th different team. And obviously, it's a great story. It's out of nowhere. It's something not a lot of people believed was going to happen. I'm not a lot of people, obviously. But here he is. After he had been written off as a New York Jet, after he fared no better in Carolina, and after an objectively good year in Minnesota, both statistically and in the win-loss column, where Minnesota looked at how he performed in the 2 most important games of the year and said, you know what, thanks for a nice bridge year, but we're going to go with the kid. We're going to turn it over to J.J. McCarthy like we always planned to do.
How did that go?
Not great. Not great. Maybe we're talking about J.J. McCarthy in 5 years when we do a segment like this. But anyway, the idea of there being more Sam Darnolds out there. And I asked Matt Verderame this question on yesterday's show. I'll need audio for this. I asked Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, and you're going to hear the full conversation if you hang around for overtime. It'll be our conversation of the day today. But I asked Matt Verderame, is it possible that there are other guys out there in the league who might be the next Sam Darnold, who might be able to follow that career path where it doesn't work out in the initial destination, but there's a brighter future awaiting them with a change of scenery. This is what Matt Verderame had to say. This was his answer. Let's try it again.
I'm on CD or Talkback PC1.
No, I guess you're not.
Try it again.
Nope. All right. Not working. Anyway.
It might be that computer in there.
It could be. Doesn't look like it, but it could be. Anyway, apologies for the technical difficulties. That's live radio for you. But anyway, I will sum up Matt Verderame's answer. He cited Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa, who were also obviously very high draft, number 1 overall draft picks, who have had some success at their first stop and got to a second contract with their initial teams, the Cardinals and the Dolphins, but are now clearly in a spot where things are not advancing. The Cardinals don't feel like they're going anywhere with Kyler, and the Dolphins don't feel like they're going anywhere with Tua Tagovailoa. And Verderame signaled out Kyler in particular, like, get him to an organization and an offensive coordinator and a coach and a scheme that can be constructed around him. Like, he threw out the hypothetical. What if Matt Stafford retired and Kyler Murray ended up on the Rams? You think he could make it work with his athleticism with a coach like Sean McVay? Like, I do. I think that's probably something that could work out. But I'm not even sure that the next Sam Darnold, if he's out there, is necessarily a guy who made it to a second contract with their initial teams. I'm thinking about guys who flamed out with their first team, with a bad situation where it didn't work out, and somewhere along the line, the league made the decision. Just like the league made the decision on Sam Darnold. Yeah, he's not really a starting caliber quarterback. And Darnold had to change minds, and he at least changed Seattle's mind with his year in Minnesota, because after the Carolina thing, Carolina gave him a bit of a second chance, and that was unexpected that he got that opportunity. And he was okay for like the first couple of weeks, but that was a Matt Rule Carolina team. How well was that ever going to go? And so after that, it was a backup gig with the 49ers. It was a backup gig with Minnesota that turned into something else. And then his performance there earned him the trust of the Seahawks. They brought him in. They made him their guy. But how many other quarterbacks have we seen who were highly drafted and who got early opportunities in their career to play a lot and start, and then didn't get another opportunity after that? Were just kind of cast aside and never ended up in the kind of situation that might have been conducive to their success. There are a ton of examples you could have here. Think about a guy like Justin Fields, and he might stink, but who have we seen him on the field for? The train wreck Bears. Train wreck Bears in a bad spot. The Steelers,
who haven't had a quarterback, can't find the answer.
They were winning games with Justin Fields. They won a couple of games with Justin Fields. It wasn't because of Justin Fields, but they won a couple of games with Justin Fields. And then he went to the Jets, the dumpster fire Jets, the Aaron Glenn Jets, who just fired their offensive coordinator today. But that's a guy, highly drafted, highly thought of, bad situations. Nobody thinks he's a starting caliber quarterback. What about a guy like Mac Jones? Mac Jones was in dumpster fire situation in New England where Matt Patricia was his offensive coordinator. And we have seen him now. The league decided after New England got rid of him, that's not a starting quarterback. Nobody was in a rush to give Mac Jones a starting job. Goes to San Francisco in relief of Brock Purdy this year when Purdy was hurt, plays pretty well. I think if you're a team like Pittsburgh, and Matt Verderame used Pittsburgh as an example, like if you live in the NFL's middle class where you're good-ish, but you're not quite good enough, so you're drafting in the late teens, the early 20s, and you need a quarterback, you're not going to have access to Fernando Mendoza in this year's draft, right? You don't. Yeah. If you don't pick number 1, you're not getting Mendoza. You're not going to be able to trade up for Mendoza because the Raiders need a quarterback. And outside of Mendoza, your guess as to who will be the second quarterback drafted is as good as mine at this point. My guess is Ty Simpson. That's not a first-round talent. Be real about what that is. So what would you rather do if you're the Steelers who pick 21st? Or you're the Jets who pick, they pick number 2, but they also pick 16th. Or what if you're the Rams and Matthew Stafford walks? And Matthew Stafford decides, you know what? I'm beat up. I had to put my body through a lot. Remember, he had to go to that weird trailer and get like blood infusion. He had to get his blood spun or whatever that weird stuff was he was doing just to get to week 1. What if Stafford decides, you know what? I've had a great career. I'm not want to put my body through that again. I'm going to call it a career. And you're the Rams, and you've got championship level players. You've got a number 1 wide receiver in Puka Nacua. You pick 13th. You're not getting Mendoza. You're not reaching for somebody. Wouldn't it make more sense for a team like that to kick the tires on a Mac Jones? To maybe see if we could get a veteran guy who's been written off repeatedly, like a Marcus Mariota. That guy's been written off repeatedly in his career. Maybe he's just never been in the situation because, and you can tell me if I'm way off base here because he played this past season in Washington. I don't think he embarrassed himself. I mean, I'm not talking about a guy who's going to show up and all of a sudden, after looking miserable at his first stop, is all of a sudden going to be in the upper level of quarterbacks. But could Marcus Mariota in the right situation give you a year of above average quarterback play? Is that
all
possible?
The pieces are there? Yeah.
I think so too. Like he went to the playoffs on his rookie deal with the Titans, right?
Yeah. I think if you put him in the same situation that Darnold's in, with great running back play, an amazing wide receiver, some core guy, and you trade for a guy like Rashid Shaheed in the middle of the season, and you have Cooper Kupp, you have the big guy, a guy you bring in mid-season, and then the kind of washed vet guy, the vet on his second team,
steady vet.
I think that he performs pretty well. I'm not going to say Super Bowl appearance, but I'm going to say you're going to get something like what you saw from Sam Darnold this year if you had him in that situation.
The Darnold thing is fascinating in the context of it's not the first time in recent memory the Seahawks specifically have done this, because Geno Smith was in the same boat.
Yeah.
Nobody thought Geno Smith was a starting caliber quarterback, and he delivered above average quarterback play as the starter in Seattle. It wasn't flawless. It wasn't good enough to go win a Super Bowl or anything like that, but he got to the playoffs. He made that team more than respectable in his time as a starting quarterback from what his reputation had been. That's a credit, I think, to that organization. Maybe that's just the and two different head coaches, so you can't just say, oh, it was the coach, or oh, it was the offensive coordinator, oh, it was the scheme. Two different coordinators, two different head coaches, two different sets of skill players, and they made it work with two guys who had been completely written off as quarterbacks. So are there more guys like that out there? And my thought is that there might be. My thought is that if you're the Steelers and you're not drafting a quarterback in the first round, but you feel like you still want to, you've got DK Metcalf, you've got all these veteran defensive players, you're not interested in a rebuild, you want to try to be good next year, wouldn't you make a phone call on Mac Jones? Wouldn't you rather do that than give it a spin with 43-year-old Aaron Rodgers? That's what I would do. There are all kinds of guys who you can watch and have seen in a good scenario have had success, and wonder if you just give them the keys and put them in a position to succeed. Andrew mentions Jameis Winston in the YouTube comments. Jameis is obviously a flawed player, but they had a winning record in New Orleans under Sean Payton when he had to start that one year.
Yeah.
Like guys like that, and you get a guy like that, and
but I don't know about him. He just seems to be like vibes guy.
Yeah, I think at this stage he might be a little past that nexus where you could hand him like a 2-year deal and be like, yeah, you're our starting quarterback, we're committing to you. I'm thinking younger guys like Jones or who's a good example of this too. This offseason could get a deal, Malik Willis. Because Malik Willis looked like he didn't know how to play the sport in Tennessee, and he gets to Green Bay under Matt LaFleur. And I think Matt LaFleur kind of really likes coaching Malik Willis and likes coming up with stuff for Malik Willis.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami picks up Malik Willis.
Wouldn't surprise me either. But is that a good scenario? I mean, Jeff Hafley obviously would have some knowledge of him from his Green Bay days, but like, is that organization, is that skill player talent, is that going to be conducive to his success? Because that's the thing. It all has to line up.
Yeah.
Everything has to line up. But if you look at your roster, like the Seahawks did, and not everybody has a roster like this. Seahawks looked at their roster and said, hey, look, we got a lot of pieces on defense. We got a lot of young pieces, and we're not paying a lot of money on our defense. We've got a number one, no doubt, bona fide star wide receiver in Jackson Smith-Njigba. They felt so good about him, they traded DK Metcalf. We've got a new play caller coming in Clint Kubiak we really, really like. We have the opportunity to bring in a guy who has shown that you can win with him, even in a small sample size, and we're gonna give him the keys, and we're just gonna say, we trust you, you're our guy, do your thing. And it has worked. It worked a treat for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I do wonder if there might be teams who feel similarly about their rosters and who feel like, look, the difference for us is if we can just get above average quarterback play, we can make something happen with this roster. Above average quarterback play. We're not asking for a superstar. We're not looking for our next Mahomes, and where we draft, we're not getting our next Mahomes. We just need a guy who can make some plays in our structure, a guy who can lead a huddle. And I think there are more guys out there that maybe just haven't been uncovered yet. Maybe Mac Jones is that guy. Maybe Malik Willis is that guy. But I won't be surprised if those two guys aren't starting somewhere next year. Don't be surprised, because I think it might be more fashionable for teams that live in the middle class of the NFL to pivot in that direction rather than, especially with the paucity of quarterback talent in this draft, to go in that direction rather than saying, yeah, well, we're gonna go find our franchise guy in the draft this year, because that's harder than it looks, especially in this year's draft.
Yeah.
We'll take a timeout here at 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with What Is Wrong With You. Michael Swain joins us after that here on 580 WIBW. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? We've got two new stories competing today. Try to take down our current weekly champ. Give me what you got for a pork chop. The 18-year-old woman who was drunk when she slapped her mother and hit her with a pork chop. The title is pretty self-explanatory there. A real quick update to a previous story. You may recall and certainly if you're a YouTube viewer, you remember the image of Chuck E. Cheese being led out of a Chuck E. Cheese establishment in handcuffs. Well, we found out that the gentleman who was being led out of Chuck E. Cheese in handcuffs pled no contest earlier this week to 2 felonies in connection with his theft of a Visa debit card belonging to a female customer. So, yeah, the guy wearing Charles Entertainment Cheese's get up and head had stolen a credit card and put up some fraudulent purchases and got arrested for it. And in the process, they had to lead him out of the Chuck E. Cheese wearing the get up, wearing the head. And one of our more memorable What Is Wrong With You stories from last year. Anyway, let's get into our What Is Wrong With You today. I will go first. I love when a story has a good hook. And the hook is in the title of this story. Can I interest you in a fake Pakistani Pizza Hut? We go to the Sialkot cantonment in the country of Pakistan. And the defense minister for the nation of Pakistan, Khawaja Asif, is facing a wave of online ridicule after he opened an unauthorized Pizza Hut in Sialkot. The ceremony was held last Tuesday. It featured high-profile fanfare, including a red carpet and a formal ribbon cutting. However, the event quickly turned into an embarrassment after the official Pizza Hut franchise in Pakistan issued a public disclaimer distancing itself from the establishment. Their press release reads, Pizza Hut Pakistan informs our valued customers that an unauthorized outlet falsely using the Pizza Hut name and branding has recently opened in Sialkot Cantonment. This outlet is not associated with Pizza Hut Pakistan or Yum Brands. It does not follow Pizza Hut International recipes, quality protocols, food safety, or operational standards. According to Pizza Hut Pakistan, it currently operates only 16 official stores in the country, limited to the cities of Lahore and Islamabad, meaning the Sialkot branch was operating entirely without a license. The incident sparked immediate mockery of Asif. Critics and social media users questioned the lack of due diligence. One viral post on X from Pakistan read, "We got fake Pizza Hut before GTA 6.
I love that meme.
Others used the controversy as a broader critique of both the country's governance and the prevalence of counterfeit brands in the region. I know how to get some good publicity. I'm going to open a Pizza Hut. And then Pizza Hut immediately like, nah, we don't know this guy.
There's a bunch of those like fake In-N-Out burgers.
Uh-huh.
Like I've seen on TikTok. Let's try the outside upside down burger. And it's the same color scheme, slightly different logo.
Right. Like just totally
a ripoff.
Totally counterfeit. No different than like buying like a fake Rolex on the street in New York City. You buy fake Pizza Hut pizza. They like what is Coming to America. McDonald's.
Yes.
My God. They have the Big Mac. We have the Big Mick.
Yeah.
They have damn it. What is it called?
I don't know, man. I can't pull that one. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
Oh God. McDowell's. It's McDowell's. They got the Big Mac. We got the Big Mick. They got the Meat Lovers pizza. We have the Meat Enjoyers pizza. The Meat Enthusiast pizza.
The Meat Connoisseur pizza.
They have the Big New Yorker. We have not that.
The Big Manhattan.
We have the Big Manhattan. There you go. The large Manhattan. That's what we got. We got the large Manhattan. Anyway, yeah. Fake Pakistani Pizza Hut. What's your story today? We got to go quick.
We're going to Florida. A man is in jail after driving a flaming car down U.S. Route 92 in Broward County. The sheriff said over the weekend on Friday at 6:20, after getting reports that a sedan traveling down the road was putting off heavy smoke before becoming engulfed in flames. When he arrived, the deputy said he saw about 75-foot stretch of land that was freshly charred and some parts still on fire. The county fire and rescue was involved to fight the flames, but it sparked a wildfire that had spread hundreds of feet down the road already. A witness reported to police that they saw smoke coming from under the vehicle and then watched the driver, 60-year-old Patrick Rinaldi, pull over. The witness turned around to try to help, but Rinaldi pulled onto the road again and kept driving. A few moments later, the smoking car pulled back over as flames began to overtake it. Still undeterred, he once again kept driving down the road before the fire forced him to stop. He later told police he was barely able to help his wife escape the burning car. The responding deputy said while speaking to Rinaldi, he noticed his eyes were bloodshot and watery, his speech was slurred, and there was a strong odor of alcohol coming from him. He admitted to having at least one large Budweiser before driving, and a large bottle of liquor was found on the passenger side floorboard. He refused to provide a breath sample. He was charged with DUI and refusal to submit to DUI testing.
All righty. One large Budweiser, huh? Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Do it every time. One of those Bud Heavies. Anyway, I will go with the fake Pakistani Pizza Hut to win today and the week.
The idea of the fake. Yeah, I'm with you.
Fake Pizza Hut. I have brought Pizza Hut to the people, and Pizza Hut being like, no, the hell you have not. No, you have not. You can call that something else. You can call that the Pizza House. You can call that the Pizza Tent, but it ain't no Pizza Hut. That's our winner on What Is Wrong With You. Michael Swain joins us next for Jayhawk Weekly. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He joins us every Tuesday here on the program at this time for a little segment we call Jayhawk Weekly. And Michael Swain, it's not a surprise that Kansas beat Kansas State on Saturday at Bramlage Coliseum, even without Darren Peterson. That's symbolic of the direction those two programs have been headed so far this season. But the thing that stood out was just how personally Kansas seemed to take that game in a way that maybe they didn't take it so personally the last couple of years. How much of that is Melvin Council?
Yeah, I think it's a good amount. I'll take you on a quick tangent. Adrian Wojnarowski is now the general manager at St. Bonaventure, where Melvin played last year. He had a good tweet this week talking about how, kind of referring to the fact that Melvin Council changed the culture at St. Bonaventure during his lone season there, and he was replying to a tweet that referenced him doing the same thing at Kansas. So I think it's something where Melvin has become, I think, kind of the emotional leader of this team, where I think at the start of the season, you probably thought Darren Peterson would be that guy, but the fact that he's been in and out of lineup, you need other guys to step up, and Melvin's done that. And so you look at this game, and I think you compare maybe the demeanor of a Hunter Dickinson last year to 2 straight years, or even other transfers that have played in this game. They can talk a big game, but when the game actually started, like, you didn't see the same animosity you thought from a guy playing in a rivalry game. And so I think the fact that Melvin Council did what he did at the end of the game, right, doing the Wabash cannonball and doing it twice, I think, again, it just showed that he understood what the rivalry is about. He understood what K-State's traditions were. And I think it's one of those things that in this day and age where rivalry games are losing some juice because the players don't have the same connections because they're not at the same place for multiple years, I think for him to kind of have that type of moment, I think just shows why he is the guy that's kind of helped change some of the culture at KU and St. Bonaventure in the past, and why he is so highly thought of. Like, he just gets it. Plain and simple. He just gets it. And I don't think you can say that about everybody. In college basketball right now, especially guys playing in rivalry games.
Melvin Council was really good on Saturday, but I thought that was as good as I've ever seen Elmarko Jackson. What was the most impressive thing about his performance in that win over the Wildcats?
Yeah, I think at times this year, it's felt like Elmarko tries to do things without a rudder, right? He drives without thinking what the next move is. He does, it's things like that you've looked at and said, man, like, what were you thinking? And I think what you saw, against K-State was a guy who I think had a little bit more purpose and understanding of what he was trying to do. Yeah, he made outside shots. Like, that's great. But I think you look at some of the drives and the way that he was trying to finish around the rim and some of the other things he did, where it was like, okay, the things that you were making mistakes on earlier this year, you didn't do that when you're in those same positions against K-State. I think that's the most encouraging part. His 3-point shots come along. Like, that's a huge development, the fact that he's shooting over 35% from 3 this year. But again, it's about those other aspects of the game, because Elmarko, I think, at times this year has been unplayable because of the fact that he struggled defensively, that he has not been in the right spots, made bad decisions defensively, then offensively has put himself in positions where it's a no-win situation. And I think you can look at Saturday's game and what he showed, and in every single one of those facets, it was an improvement over what he was earlier this year. And I think that's super encouraging if you're trying to project, hey, what can Elmarko be for this KU be, going forward in his KU career?
Michael Swain of Fog.net joining us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Floating Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. This is Jayhawk Weekly here on the program. We do it every Tuesday at this time. Saturday at the Fog looks like a blockbuster. It's BYU and KU. It's Peterson versus Dybansa, a matchup of two of the very best freshmen in what looks right now like an unbelievably good freshman class all over the country. Outside of the matchup that will get all the hype, what most fascinates you about the Jayhawks and the Cougars and the way they match up when they play Saturday?
Yeah, I think you look at the point guard spot, right? We were talking about Melvin Council. Well, hey, BYU's got a pretty good point guard too in Rob Wright and the way that he's been playing this year. I think that's going to be a really fun matchup. Look, I think with AJ, it's not going to be a Darren guards AJ type of matchup, right? It's probably going to be Flory, who goes after AJ, because you look at the way BYU, plays. They've got a 6'8" center. I think you're much more inclined to put a guy with Flory's athleticism on someone like AJ, who is a really good athlete himself, to try and, I think, limit him. And then you can look at the guard spot, right? And Council defensively, what he did against PJ Haggerty. Again, you can look at the end of the game, look at the stats and whatever. Like, how much of that was garbage time in the second half where the game was getting out of hand? It was just PJ Haggerty trying to draw fouls for 20 minutes. Melvin did such a great job defensively against him. And I think this matchup with Wright is going to be super interesting, because I think he's just as athletic as Melvin is. And so I think that's going to be a huge part of this game, because if all of a sudden, if you're able to find ways to cut off the ball getting to Dybansa, all of a sudden you're asking some of these other guys who are fine players, but they're not the guy that could be, a top 3 pick in the draft. They're not a guy who could be an all Big 12 player like Wright. So I think that's kind of the big matchup for this game on Saturday, outside of the obvious one, which is who can score more points between AJ and Darren.
Dybanza is obviously a stud. He had 43 on Saturday in the win over Utah. He can go nuts. I don't think it's a straight line comparison because he's not as tall, but there's a bit of a Kevin Durant nature, I think, to Dybanza's game, his ability to get to a spot and get his shot against whoever defends him. But he can be flustered. I think he was great last night against Arizona, and Arizona's got the big bodies to throw at him, and they're number 1 team in the country for a reason. But even at Kansas State, his debut in the Big 12, he had 20-plus that night, but he was forced into 7 turnovers. He wasn't spectacular that night. What things do you think KU has to throw at Dybanza to jam a stick into the bicycle spoke, so to speak, and make it so that he does not totally control that game and have a Kevin Durant-like performance at Allen Fieldhouse?
Yeah, I think it comes down to a lot of what Flory already gives. So, it's one of those things where wouldn't it be nice for Darren to go put up some stats against Utah, basically a mid-major team for 2 times in the first whatever month of the season. You're right. At times he can get television, and he takes bad shots at times, and he wants to get the ball, he wants to score. And I don't think I've been as impressed against some of the better teams, right? You can look at Texas Tech. I think he shot 35% from the field in that game. When I was looking earlier today, like Arizona, obviously 25% from the field last night. He does not get as much separation sometimes when he's doing some of this ISO ball stuff. And if you're able to, again, take someone like Robert Wright out of the game and force it to be an ISO game for AJ, well, if you have someone like Flory who has the same level of athleticism as AJ does, but has the length that can really force him to have to create loads of separation, well, then you like that. Because if AJ's taking contested shots all game, you're going to live with that. You just are. And he's going to make some because he's that good, but you'll live with him taking contested 2s for most of the game. And so I think that's really the thing here is, like, can Flory just really stick with them and not get in foul trouble? Can he not be over eager and get maybe a little too amped up about, what the matchup is and the chance for him to show what he can do on his own accord? So I think this is a situation where you've got the guy that can match the athleticism. You've got the guy that can provide some of that length and shot blocking ability. It's going to come down to, can Flory stay on the floor, and can he stick with AJ when he tries to drive?
Flory Badunga got rolling in the second half against K-State. He had 17 of his 21 in the second half. That's a very different matchup for him because K-State, outside of the 7'2" Doreen Buka, doesn't have a lot of size anyway, and certainly not a lot of healthy size right now. So there wasn't much that K-State could really do to keep Flory off the block when they started to get him rolling. BYU, they've got more size. They've got more physicality. Bakeda can certainly match Badunga's athleticism in the post. How important is it that KU find ways to get those easy baskets for Flory? And what does that look like? What does his ideal involvement look like on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. It's a double-edged sword because I think you go back to the Colorado game and say, hey, KU's guards, they were trying to get Flory the ball early in that game, but he just wasn't open. And things get stagnant because everyone's sitting there waiting for Flory to do something. That's the balance KU has to strike. It can't be we got to get the ball to Flory. Let's wait until he gets in the perfect position and then get in the ball. Like, it can't be that, right? You got to run your offense. And I think, K-State quit at the end of that game. Like, so some of the plays Flory's making are when, another team's not trying. But I think you look at the Iowa State game, I think you can, again, take bits and pieces from Colorado, bits and pieces from K-State. It comes down to the way Flory moves. And when he's in the pick and roll, can he just find ways to get away from the shot blocker? And when he's done that, he's got the length to go up and just get the ball from anywhere on some of those lobs. So I think this is a game where, KU's got to get the easy buckets from Flory, but you can't stand there on the perimeter for 20 seconds waiting for Flory to do something and have your offense get stale and stagnant. And that's when KU really has gone through some of these points in games where they really struggle, is the fact that just standing on the perimeter. And when they move and when the ball moves, things look a lot better. And so it's kind of one of those things where there's 2 sides of the coin with Flory, where you really need him to move and him to be really direct with his movement. And then you also need everyone else on offense to equally be moving to help create that space for him to exploit.
We're joined by Michael Swain of Fog.net and 24/7 Sports. And Michael, since we last talked, the Big 12 finalized the football schedule, so KU's full schedule comes out. The biggest question that was on the mind of probably every KU fan was, where was the Middle Tennessee State game going to fall because of the Arizona State game going to London? Was week 0 out of the realm of possibility? Did they only want one game during that? Did the Big 12 as a conference only want one game to be featured that week? Because it seems like having 9 straight games after coming back with the bye just seems tough.
No, this wasn't a Big 12 thing. This was an NCAA thing. Basically, the NCAA is trying to make it where there aren't a bunch of teams trying to, jerry-rig themselves into getting week 0 games to get extra bye weeks later in the year. And the way that it is worded right now for teams is that either if you are playing abroad or if you play Hawaii, you can get in week 0. It worked last year with Fresno State because they played Hawaii on the road that season. And so you look at this fall, KU qualifies because they play in London. And then there's the wording of it is basically where Middle Tennessee State has to then go and they have to do their own waiver process to get it passed by the NCAA for them to be able to play week 0. And my understanding is that basically the things did not go like KU expected, because I think the expectation on KU's end when everything was announced and all the things I had heard, going back to last fall about what KU's expectation was that they thought it was going to be week 0 and that they were going to get a bye week after the Arizona State game in London and then get one more bye week a couple weeks later in Big 12 play. That obviously didn't happen. And so now it's a tough situation. And look, it's one of those where 9 straight weeks, that sucks. That's going to be really hard for KU. But you also look across the Big 12 and across college football, everyone has one bye week. And so there are a lot of teams that are going to be playing 8 straight weeks. And I think that's one of those things that, I don't know, it's silly. Like, should a team playing abroad have one bye week? Like, I don't think so. I think you probably should have 2. But look, it's how the cookie crumbles. And so it's one of those deals where KU's going to have the pros and cons there, right? There's going to be some the brand exposure, playing the first, FBS game, I believe it is, in London at a big soccer stadium. It's a great opportunity. But I think on the other hand, you can look at it and say, man, there are definitely some repercussions that are coming from this in your ability to, I think, compete and have a healthy football team late in the year. And so this is very much, I think, just across college football this year is going to be a year of attrition. Who can deal with the one bye week, get guys back, and then really be able to keep guys fresh and healthy late in the season? There aren't going to be a lot of teams that are able to do that. So I think it's going to be an underlying storyline of this fall's college football season.
Michael Swain covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and he joins us every Tuesday at this time in the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, always a pleasure. I'll see you at the Fog on Saturday. We'll do this again next week.
Sounds great, guys. Talk to you next week.
That is Michael Swain. We'll step aside for a timeout, come back, and wrap up the 4 o'clock hour. 580 Sports Talk next. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk, our thanks again to Michael Swain of Fog.net for joining us for Jayhawk Weekly. Hawks have the bye this week in the Big 12. No midweek game, a full week to recover from their win in Manhattan before they take on BYU on Saturday. You see the kids already camping out at Allen Fieldhouse?
I saw that this morning.
They've got their seats for Saturday. That's how you know it's a big one.
Yeah.
AJ Dybance and the BYU Cougars coming to town. I'll be there. You'll get an instant reaction from me post-game on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel that Saturday. Coming up on the final hour of the show, we got some headlines. We've got some Random Question Tuesday. We'll look ahead to K-State's game at West Virginia tonight. Hang with us through the news break. We're coming back with more 580 Sports Talk on WIBW. Let's get it. Third hour of 580 Sports Talk on a Tuesday. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuy hanging out with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and Facebook page, WIBW News. Good to have you along. We're with you until 6:30 tonight when we'll hand it off to the K-State Sports Network from Learfield. Wildcats and Mountaineers from Morgantown tonight. 7:30 tip-off for the sake of television. FS1 has the broadcast on TV. We've got the radio call with pregame coverage again starting at 6:30. So we got an overtime conversation of the day coming up between 6 and 6:30. We'll re-rack our Monday chat with our NFL insider, Matt Verderam. Get his thoughts in case you missed them on the conference championship games from Sunday and a little bit of an early look ahead to Super Bowl 60.
I know we want listeners to tune in to the Kansas State call on our radio airwaves.
We do.
But did you see who is calling the game for FS1?
I did not.
Royals broadcaster Jake Eisenberg.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I will be fascinated to hear him do basketball. I think Jake is really good.
He did basketball last year. I think he did a K-State game.
Did he?
Yeah.
I must have missed that. Was it on ESPN Plus or?
Yeah.
It must have been ESPN Plus. I must have missed that. I must have missed that night.
They had a lot of games last year on the Plus.
So, before the contract expanded this year and you got TNT and more CBS Sports Network and more FS1 and Peacock into the mix. But no, that'll be interesting. I really think Jake Eisenberg is outstanding. Yeah. I am not saying that out of any sort of professional or personal obligation to do so. I think Royals fans are very fortunate to have Jake Eisenberg to listen to. I think he is outstanding and young, so he can do this as long as he wants. And I hope he wants to do it in Kansas City for a very long time because I really enjoy listening to him, whether it's on the radio or on the TV call. I think I might like him better on TV and Ryan Lefevre better on the radio. That's personal preference, and that's not to say that they're not good at their more traditional medium. I just enjoy listening to Ryan and Denny banter. I enjoy that, and I know we probably don't have a lot more summers of that.
Do we know?
So I'm hopeful that we get a little bit more of that this coming year.
Do we know anything about Royals TV yet?
No, we don't. We know nothing. When we know, we'll tell you. We'll do it on our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Yeah, we'll tell you. Yeah, we're 57 days out of opening day. And how you will be able to watch that on television is kind of a mystery at this point. Well, they'll get it ironed out. They got 57 days to figure it out.
Yeah, I just say this because my team people broke the news of who was replacing Bob Carpenter.
I see.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's if you're a Royals fan, maybe a reason to check out the K-State game. Hear Jake Eisenberg. That voice maybe gets you excited for baseball, which is right around the corner. We will have some baseball to get to in our 580 Sports Talk headlines, as well as some other stories from the world of sports. We'll also play a round of Random Question Tuesday. And later in the hour, we'll get to some thoughts on tonight's K-State basketball game. They go to West Virginia tonight again to take on the Mountaineers. West Virginia undefeated at the WVU Coliseum, Hope Coliseum, this year. You are invited and encouraged to participate in the show here in the final hour. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We stream live every day as we are on the air every day. We're all live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Hop in that live chat, say hello, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Mark H. in the YouTube comments remind us we're 10 days away from the Olympics, which means we're 10 days away from the return of the Olympic Roundup. And man, am I excited to bring back that silliness. We'll have the Olympic Roundup part of the headlines every day for 2 weeks. What's your favorite winter sports, winter Olympic event?
Ooh, that's a great question.
The hockey's really good. They got the
I
pros.
like the hockey.
They got the
I'm
pros
happy
back in it.
I'm
this
happy
year.
Everybody's back. I think hockey.
The pros being back in, it's a big draw, so that's exciting. I get a kick out of curling. I get a big kick out of curling. Fun sport. Do I understand all the mechanics of it? No, but I know how you score. And I know that when the United States won gold was it Pyeongchang in 2018? John Schuster and the boys getting rowdy, winning the gold medal. I stayed up till like 4 a.m. watching the gold medal match. I don't think my sleep schedule was right for a month after that, but I have no regrets. It was an incredible sporting event. I was so happy for John Schuster, the much maligned former skipper for the United States curling team. I think he lost at the trials. He's not in this year's Olympics. It's a new guy. Schusty's out. We have a new skip for Team USA curling. But yeah, we'll be excited for that to bring back the Olympic roundup. No Olympic roundup today, but we do have some sports headlines, and we'll get to the stuff with local ties in a bit. But the story everybody is talking about right now that Don Van Natta and Seth Wickersham have broken
Great
at
guys
ESPN.
over there.
We do not yet know who will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026, but we know who won't be. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis. We did not get the votes. We did not have the votes this year.
Dang, man. I was really hoping for a jacket.
But also, Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. ESPN's Don Van Natta Jr., Seth Wickersham first to report that the 8-time Super Bowl champion as a head coach and defensive coordinator did not receive the necessary 40 out of 50 votes required for induction.
Have you had a chance to gloss over this story? Because the main points, multiple sources told ESPN that Spygate and Deflategate, the twin cheating scandals during the Patriots championship runs, came up in deliberations among voters. A voter who spoke on the condition of anonymity said that Polian,
Bill Polian,
an ardent Kraft supporter and former general manager of the Bills and Colts, a chief Patriots rival during their dynasty, told some voters he believed Belichick should, quote, wait a year, end quote, before induction as a penance for Spygate, the 2007 cheating scandal. Roger Goodell also fined the Patriots and Belichick for that.
Yeah, they were fined and they lost
a first round pick.
Yeah, lost a pick. So, okay, fine. You want to penalize Bill Belichick for Spygate and Deflategate and for making it so that every scandal ever in sports is something gate now. I know it traces back to Watergate, still one of the stupidest things we do. You want to penalize Belichick for a year? That's all well and good. Are you going to do the same to Tom Brady? Is my question. Are you going to keep Tom Brady out of the Hall of Fame for a year? Because unlike Bill Belichick, Tom Brady got suspended for Deflategate. Bill Belichick never got suspended. And that's not me saying, well, Bill Belichick did nothing wrong. Obviously, did something wrong. But Tom Brady was suspended. He lost games and game checks for his involvement in, I don't even like saying it, Deflategate. Are you going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame for a year too? Are you going to keep the greatest quarterback of all time out of the Hall of Fame? Out of the Hall of Fame for a year on this nonsense? I got to think there's more to it. Like, I can believe that you would be convinced by that argument if you were inclined to not really like Bill Belichick in the first place. If you just kind of felt like you wanted to stick it to him a little bit. And I think there are a lot of people in the NFL world that appreciate the opportunity to stick it to Bill Belichick, and that's fine. But when you do stuff like this, when you take the voting into your own hand and you make it about something else, or you make it about yourself and not about the induction of all-time greats in the sport, and no matter how you slice it, Bill Belichick is an all-time great, if not the greatest coach in NFL history, you devalue the institution. And if you don't realize that, Pro Football Hall of Fame voters, you should ask people who vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yep.
You should ask the writers who vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame how some of them feel about their institution, the Baseball Hall of Fame, never including maybe the greatest position player of all time in Barry Bonds and maybe the greatest pitcher of all time, certainly the best of his era in Roger Clemens. So, I don't know. I really don't want to get into a debate about what kind of cheating is worse. Because that could go a lot of different ways. But yeah, this is surprising. And I got to admit, that was my first thought too. Like, are they really going to ding him for Spygate?
Yeah.
Do they really feel that kind of way about Spygate? And okay, if you do, that's fine. If that's what it is and Belichick gets in on the next year's ballot, fine. Are you going to do that to Tom Brady? Do you have the courage, your convictions to do it to Tom Brady?
You have to at this point. The precedent's been set.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
That means Kraft shouldn't get in either, because I believe Kraft also a finalist
yes!
this year.
Yeah. Okay, if you're not going to let Bill Belichick in, if you're going to keep Bill Belichick out, what does that say about the guy who's overseeing the entire operation? What does that say about Robert Kraft's Hall of Fame case?
Because wasn't part of the video stuff in 2007 the Kraft video company or whatever?
I don't remember all the details of that, but that might have been how they tried to like incorporate themselves and seem legit, but I don't know all.
Yeah, I just thought it was like the
particulars.
Kraft Sports Group.
But yeah,
video
if you're good, if you're gonna ding Belichick for this, then yeah, don't you have to like Robert Kraft begging to be in the Hall of Fame? It's the only thing he wants in the world. I think if you offered Kraft a choice, you could win in 2 Sundays or you could get into the Hall of Fame. One of the two. He would take the Hall of Fame. He would take the Hall of Fame
because he's already won.
Yeah, that's part of it. But I really think that that's a dangerous precedent to set, because that's not going to just impact Bill Belichick. But I do think that it's that plus guys got some people that don't like him very much who fill out these ballots. So anyhow, that was the big breaking news here in the last 30 minutes. Bill Belichick will not be a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer. Anyhow, Spencer, let's just lump both of the stadium headlines into one headline today.
Yes. Earlier this morning, the Chiefs announced the finalists for the construction architecture firms who would be the 2 potential finalists for the company that will construct their new stadium. They're actually regional architectural design firms, Manica and Populous. Notable Manica projects include the new Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, Chase Center. That's the Golden State
Warriors. Yeah, in
yes.
San Francisco. Yeah,
Miami Freedom Park. Notable Populous projects include the new Highmark Stadium, the Sphere, the 2030 World Cup Stadium in Morocco, among others. This is obviously the biggest step we've seen. The first step we've seen since the joint announcement late last December, so about a month ago, a little over a month ago. And I think this is a big step because we heard, and it's referencing Kansas, like their thing said Kansas, because there's been, I don't know if you've seen this reporting out there, Dan. There's been a lot of reporting that like this isn't a done deal, that like they could still go to Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they are saying our new Chiefs Stadium in Kansas, I think is big. Obviously, there'll be more announcements throughout the calendar year of 2026 as to who will be the final one. I would venture to guess they would have a decision before football season starts. Also, the Royals. This is probably a good announcement for people, because I know a lot of people didn't like this, including you, Dan. I didn't either. The Royals confirmed to the Kansas City Star, among other publications, that on Tuesday they are no longer considering building a stadium at the Asperia campus near 119th and Knoll Avenue in Overland Park. So all signs point to a Missouri, potentially downtown or in the downtown KC area ballpark coming up for the Royals for the 2021 season, though no announcement's been made. So this officially, to me, kills Kansas as a place that could happen, barring some new discovery.
Yeah, it does feel like that's where we're headed. I think the trick for folks on the Missouri side of Kansas City right now, honestly, is trying to figure out a way to get it funded where they can get approval from the city council and they don't have to get approval from the voters.
Yeah.
I think that is what they are trying to do, because they saw how that worked for Kansas. Kansas did not have to get approval from the voters. They got approval from the government. They did the Star Bond program. Missouri's got something set up that is kind of similar to the Star Bond programs, like the Show Me initiative, I believe, something along those lines. They're trying to get it done without involving the voters because they didn't like how that went for them the first time they involved the voters in Kansas City. But they'll end up with a downtown ballpark, and it'll probably be pretty cool. And that's what I've been hoping for a while. Let's keep it local and get to, we mentioned this in the 3 o'clock hour. In fact, we are 57 days out of Kansas City Royals opening day. And one of the things that makes it feel closer, the NRI list. This baseball sickos know that NRI stands for non-roster invitees. You can invite players to your major league spring training who are not on the 40-man roster. They are considered non-roster invitees. And these can be players who are in your system, or they can be minor league free agents. They can be major league free agents who you sign to minor league contracts. So there are some familiar names on this list, some unfamiliar names on this list. I got to be honest with you. They start going through the list of pitchers here who've been invited. I don't know who a lot of these guys are, if we're being 100% honest.
I think Frank Mazzucato, and that's it.
Frank Mazzucato is on the list. Yeah, former first-round pick. Also, pitchers invited to spring training by the Royals: A.J. Causey, Dennis Colleran, Jose Cuas, big league veteran, former Royal, the FedEx man. He's driving a FedEx truck and tried out for a pro team and got a contract and made it all the way to the major leagues. Was with the Royals for a couple of years, traded the Cubs 2 years ago for Nelson Velasquez, who is no longer with the Cubs. I think he signed with somebody yesterday. I don't remember. Maybe it was the Braves, somebody like that. He signed a minor league deal. He's an NRI for somebody. But Jose Cuas gets an invite. Chaz Martinez, that's Chaz with 2 Z's. Hector Neris, this one is interesting. Hector Neris has recently been a pretty effective major league reliever. He's had a long career, 12 years in the bigs. When I say recently, I mean back in 2023 at a 1.71 ERA and 71 appearances with the Astros. Rapidly diminishing returns. Pitched for 3 teams last year, 35 appearances, a 6.75 earned run average. But he still struck out 35 guys in 26 2/3 innings. So that's an intriguing option for a bullpen arm. Other pitchers invited to Royals major league spring training: Helcris Olivares, Shane Panzini, Hunter Pattison, and Aaron Sanchez. That might be a familiar name. He's got big league time. Last appeared in a major league game in 2022 with the Minnesota Twins. Led the American League in ERA in 2016 with the Toronto Blue Jays. Looked like a young star on the rise, but didn't miss a lot of bats. Lost his command a little bit, and then dealt with some injuries. And again, hasn't appeared in a major league game since 2022. As far as position players, 7 catchers are on the list. Naturally, you're working out a lot of pitchers. You need guys to catch them.
Yeah.
On the list, former big leaguer Jorge Alfaro. I say former big leaguer like they couldn't make the team. Jorge Alfaro was in the major leagues last year, appeared in 14 games for the Washington Nationals. Did you remember that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, not quite as memorable as his 10 games with the Colorado Rockies in 2023. At least he had a home run.
I do remember them having somebody else because Keibert Ruiz was like out for half the season, so that would make sense.
Jorge Alfaro was a big deal prospect. He came up with the Rangers, and he was in the Cole Hamels trade back in 2015. So that's how long ago he was a big deal prospect. Then he came up with the Phillies, and then he went over to Miami in another blockbuster deal for JT Realmuto. Had his most productive year with the Marlins in 2019. He's kicked around since with the Padres, Rockies, Red Sox, and Nationals. Also invited to spring training by the Royals: Canyon Brown, Omar Hernandez, Eli Marrero, not the Eli Marrero that played for the Cardinals back in the 2000s. Blake Mitchell, that's an interesting name. He's one of the top prospects for the Royals, former first-round pick. Ramon Ramirez and Luca Tresh also invited to Major League spring training. Ramirez, another highly regarded prospect at catcher in the Royals system. Infielders: Connor Kaiser, Rocky great. I think he made like 1 appearance for the Rockies 2 seasons ago. Kevin Newman, I think a former first-round pick. He's kicked around the bigs a little bit. He was with came up with the Pirates, I'm pretty sure, and last appeared in a major league game last year, 56 games for the Angels. He was a first-round pick out of the University of Arizona, so Big 12 legend Kevin Newman. Josh Rojas, who was signed earlier this winter to a minor league deal, played some for the Mariners last year, utility man. Abraham Toro, who played last year for the Red Sox. Daniel Vasquez and Peyton Wilson, organizational guys, also invited. And 2 outfielders get the invite: former first-round pick Gavin Cross and Carson Roccaforte, I think is how you pronounce his name. So those are the non-roster invites to Major League Spring Training, which begins here in about, I think pitchers and catchers report on the 10th.
Yeah, I was supposed to say,
So 2 weeks?
My thing is, I always remember pitchers and catchers are usually like the few days before Valentine's Day. That's how I keep
I think
track.
it's February 10th.
Yeah.
I think it's February 10th. So those are some of the names you might see in some spring training box scores this year. Next headline.
Yeah, the Bills done did it. They said, you know what? We're not going to go outside. We're going to hire Josh Allen's BFF and offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, to a 5-year contract to be the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Wow.
Terry Pagula did a press conference in front of God and everybody last week where he and Brandon Beane, the former GM, newly promoted to president of football operations, said that the problem with the Bills this past season was coaching. And then they promoted the offensive coordinator to be the head coach. So here's the thing.
Stuff up, man.
Joe Brady's super young. Yeah. Right. Is he the youngest head football coach in the league? He's 36. Is he younger? Yeah, he's younger than Mike McDonald. Is he the youngest head coach in the league? Or is it? I guess I don't know that off the top of my head. Anyway, he's 36, which is really young for a head coach. He was just kind of a guy kicking around football and nearly left football to do something else and ended up with LSU in 2019 as the passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach. And Joe Brady got all the credit that year for LSU maybe having the greatest offense in the history of college football when they won the national title that year. Joe Brady got all the credit for coordinating an offense, not even coordinating an offense, coordinating the passing game.
Yeah.
On an offense that featured Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, I'm sure that was all Joe Brady, though. Anyway, he got a job in the NFL off the strength of that, spent 2 years in Carolina as their offensive coordinator and has been with the Bills since 2022. He was the quarterback's coach for 2 years, got promoted to offensive coordinator when Ken Dorsey got fired. He was the OC the last 2 years. He has a good relationship with Josh Allen, and that might be the primary qualification that got Joe Brady the job. Because I don't know how you could be Josh Allen right now and not be looking around at the state of things with the Buffalo Bills organization and feeling like, I don't like where this is going. I'm trying to win a ring here, and this doesn't feel really stable. This feels a little bit directionless. I don't know that I'm loving the direction right now of this organization that I am committed to. And then Terry Pagula and Brandon Beane were like, what if I hired your best friend as head coach? And I don't know that they're like really besties, but like it's a good relationship.
Yeah.
So that is the qualification. That and he was around when Joe Burrow got to throw to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in college, which, come on, I think I could have coordinated that offense and they would have won the national championship that year.
I think anybody could have.
Hey, Joe, throw to one of those two guys. And if they're not open, check it down to that first round pick in the backfield. Hand it to him every now and again. I think we're good. Anyway. Joe Brady is the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Good luck with that.
We have more NFL news, and we have a new NFL insider, a musician turned country star turned everything, Jelly Roll. Did you hear this?
No, I did not.
He broke the news on X that Brian Daboll will be the Titans offensive coordinator. Officially.
Okay.
More than just like it's leaning this way. Like, he broke the news that they had signed a contract.
Interesting.
At 3:27 before any other NFL insider had.
So, yes, Brian Daboll will be the new offensive coordinator of the Titans. I think that's a really weird fit.
Yeah.
With Cam Ward, he's not unathletic, but he's not really a runner in the way that like Josh Allen was a runner when Daboll was his offensive coordinator, or Daniel Jones was a runner when Daboll was his head coach, or Jackson Dart was a runner when Daboll was his head coach. So I will be curious to see how that all works out, how Daboll meshes with Cam Ward there with the Titans. Other offensive coordinator news as we wind down our 580 Sports Talk headlines. The Denver Broncos fired their offensive coordinator today. Joe Lombardi was fired as the Broncos offensive coordinator. And it's easy to make the joke, and I will make it too. Jared Stidham got that man fired. But that's not really what happened here. Joe Lombardi has a long relationship with Sean Payton. He worked with Sean Payton in New Orleans from 2007 to 2013, again from 2016 to 2020, and then again a third time when Payton took over as the Broncos head coach. He was the offensive coordinator for the previous 3 seasons under Sean Payton. He was fired today. You familiar with the name Davis Webb?
Yes. Former NFL quarterback.
Former NFL
Backup
quarterback,
guy?
extremely briefly. I believe he backed up Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. Or was he before Mahomes? No, he backed up Mahomes in 2015. He is 31 years old. He is currently the offensive pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach of the Denver Broncos. He has also received a lot of attention in the coaching carousel this offseason. In fact, he interviewed for the Raiders job yesterday. I think the Broncos fired Joe Lombardi to keep Davis Webb. I think they fired Joe Lombardi to promote Davis Webb to offensive coordinator to keep him around because people rave about Davis Webb. He's going to be a head coach at some point. There's no doubt about that. But he is, I think, somebody who is really, really well regarded and is going to be somebody who coaches in the league for a long time. But the Broncos want to keep him around for one more year with Bo Nix, and so I think he's getting promoted. I think that's why they fired. Joe Lombardi. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do that otherwise.
Well, I mean, this guy has only had 23, 24, 25, 20, 3 seasons of NFL coaching experience, man.
Yeah.
I get you were a quarterback in college and had a backup career in the NFL for the Giants, Jets, and Bills. But man, like what? Like 1 year, like 3 years of coaching, and next year be his 4th, and he could become a head coach.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's quite a rise for I mean, again, he backed up Patrick Mahomes. That's what we're talking about in college. That's what we're talking about here. Not in the pros, not like Chad Henne. Like, no, he backed him up in college. They're the same age. And he's going to be I think he's going to be the offensive coordinator of the Broncos.
Crazy.
We're going to take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, a little round of Random Question Tuesday here on 580 WIBW. 5:36 on 580 Sports Talk. Time for a little random question Tuesday. In the spirit of 31-year-old Davis Webb, perhaps the next Broncos offensive coordinator after they fired Joe Lombardi today. Maybe he'll decide he doesn't want to do that and go be a head coach somewhere. Who knows? But in that spirit, young Davis Webb, what was your first job? First thing you got paid to do?
Like I received a W-2 from this place, or like first thing I ever got paid to do?
You can answer both. We got time.
Because I mowed lawns in the neighborhood for $30 a pop. Did some snow shoveling in the winter.
Mm-hmm. Snow shoveling.
Yes. And then
not the other thing.
My first real job where I got a W-2, I was a concession stand attendant at a soccer park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to, put the hot dogs on the roller.
Yeah.
Stock up the drinks in the refrigerator, make sure we had enough Gatorade, clean those dang hot dog rollers. That sucked, man.
What's the secret? You got to get in there with like a toothbrush, or they got like a specialized.
Man, it's been like 10 years. I don't know. I did that job
10 years. You act like it's forever ago. 10 years.
I did that job.
Might seem forever ago for somebody as young as you.
I did
10 years ago for me feels like yesterday.
I did that job sophomore year of high school, summer into junior year, and then when I was a junior going into a senior, I did that, and then also was like low-key a manager. They like gave me responsibilities to be like the manager on duty and set up the soccer park for tournaments and whatnot. So
sure,
that was my first job, and then I went to college.
So my first job, in a matter of like, I was paid for services rendered. I umpired some youth baseball games. So I did that for a summer. I didn't love it. I don't have like a bad story, like getting cussed out by a coach or a fan, because I was good at my job. I was good at calling balls and strikes. But no, I don't have a bad story from that. I did a handful of games here and there. First, like W-2 job. So my buddy's, at the time, girlfriend, now wife, her mom worked for a realty company, a home builder. And they needed somebody to do a summer job going through some old accounts payable and basically digitizing the information. And what that meant was just basically making a spreadsheet.
Grunt work.
Yeah, making a spreadsheet of names, essentially. Yeah. So we each took a laptop and we went out to this storage shed where they had all this, like, not even a shed, one of those, like, you buy a storage locker, or you buy a garage, and it's all these files, and we would type down the names, and we would then, when we were done with the box, we'd set aside for the shredder. Anyway, this was a job that did not require a lot of time spent. So mostly what me and my buddy did when we were on the clock was hang out at his apartment a mile away and like play MVP baseball and watch the Maury show and bet $1 a pop on the paternity test results. That was how we spent most of those days. That was the summer before we went off to college. But we got some work done for Pulte Homes. So, that was my first W-2 gig. Random question.
Yes, in light of the Broncos firing Joe Lombardi to potentially make Davis Webb their offensive coordinator so he doesn't leave, because apparently he could be the front runner for the Raiders gig. If you were the decision maker in your favorite team's NFL franchise and you were resetting, you fired your head coach is retired, and you're going to go through potentially a couple years of a rebuild, but maybe you luck into it and you're the Patriots and you get a GM that gives you some solid players. We don't know that yet. Are you hiring the potential next guy in Davis Webb, or are you hiring
a retread?
A retread like Mike McCarthy or John Harbaugh. So those are two different guys, though.
If you're going into a rebuild, would you rather hire the hot shot or a retread?
Yeah.
Philosophically, that's what you're getting down to.
Yes.
I think, it depends on the retread, probably. But
for this example, Mike McCarthy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just not inspired.
Not
at
a
all
great
by-
choice, but then Davis Webb, like you're really deciding what you want to do
Yeah,
there.
like with the retread, you kind of know what you're going to get, and McCarthy in particular, like you know what you're going to get. 10-7. Who's on the team? How you going to get there? Doesn't matter. 10
Maybe
7,
peak
10
out at
7.
12-5.
Maybe 11-6 if you catch an easy schedule. But no, I think that I would prefer to go typically with the younger head coach, fresher ideas. You know, if you're starting all over again, I would want to start all over again with somebody who was getting their first look at it. So that philosophically, that would be my choice.
Yeah, that's where I would go as well.
Here's a random question submitted from the listenership. We always appreciate those. McFly in the YouTube chat asks, and we've I think we've done this a long time ago, but there's been no sense in not bringing it back. Asks, did we play high school sports? Spencer, what was your high school athletic career?
My high school athletic career involved trying out for freshman basketball, making it. They did cut some kids. Then partway through the season, I don't know if I've told this embarrassing story on the air yet.
It was an injury, right?
Yes. So we had morning practice that day, or no, we typically had morning practice, but my coach was not a school employee. He worked a different job. So we had practice with JV. We decided to run a scrimmage. The JV coach knew who I was. And I went up, took the basketball, got fouled, got 2 free throws. Man, I bombed those 2 free throws. And the coach said, this is practice. Get you another shot, son.
Okay.
Swoosh that baby, started backpedaling, and fell over, broke my wrist.
Oh.
It did not there was a cyst that grew in it.
So it didn't heal right.
So I had to have surgery, which led to my career choice. Yes. That's how I'm here today.
Your sports injury led to an early retirement.
I wasn't here, if I'm here today because my sports injury led to a early retirement, led to me not wanting to leave sports yet.
You would be.
So I started writing about sports.
There you go. Otherwise, you would be in your 4th year as the power forward for the Washington Wizards. Dramatically undersized.
I might have gone into business or something. I don't know that I might have gone into sports marketing or sports management, not sports broadcast.
You're too humble, because that's not how I would tell the story. I would say I was a basketball prospect on the rise. I had caught the eye of the junior varsity coach, and then I suffered a grievous injury that ended my playing career and short-circuited my chances of going pro. That is how I would tell the story if it were me. I don't have that good of a story. I played high school baseball. I also tried out for basketball as a freshman. I did get cut. I was like 5'4". That's probably why. But I was a baseball player. I was a pitcher, a left-handed pitcher, and I did have a full 4-year career. Got to the varsity level. Had a good year my senior year. We were the league champions. It was first league baseball championship in my school's history, which I'm still proud of. And played half a year in college at DePauw University for the current head coach of the current Division III national champions in football, Matt Walker at DePauw. Played for a semester, but yes, let's just say the broadcast booth was calling, and I answered the call. But yes, that was my high school career. I played baseball, and that was my game. That was always my favorite sport.
I came to realize that playing, like, not that I was ever going to, but playing a sport in college is like impossible. Not next, like being
the percentages, you mean?
Yes, where you're not a Division I guy that gets all the help possible. I'm talking about like you at D3 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like when I was a senior in high school, a lot of people I went to high school with that signed or whatever, committed to play sports, I wrote college commitment stories about them. And I think I probably wrote 25. Mm-hmm. Maybe 3 graduated college playing the sport.
Oh, yeah. No, the level of follow through you have to play it at a small school. Like, yeah, if you're D1, if you're that kind of talent.
It's like they came to the realization, like, I'd rather get ready to do a 9 to 5.
I will be going pro in something other than sports.
Exactly.
Yes, that was the calculation that I made as a freshman at DePaul. I will be going pro in something other than this. You get around because chances are, a lot of times if you're going D2, D3, you were not maybe necessarily the best player on your own team. You're good, but maybe you weren't the best player on your own team. But when you get to college, everybody was your level of player on their team or better.
Well, a lot of times
you
when
get
you're going to a
that.
D2 or D3 school, you're choosing it for the academics anyway.
Division III, yes. Division II, you have a little bit less of that. I shouldn't say that. That's an overgeneralization. But I do think Division III, absolutely.
I had a buddy who was a really good pitcher, and he was hitting into the low 90s, but he had it wasn't Tommy John. He had some kind of shoulder inflammation or something. And then he topped out at 87.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to, I believe it was D3 Illinois Institute of Technology or something in Chicago. And he played for 1 year.
Man.
And now he's he's got near $100K salary doing something in cyber. So
87 will play at D3.
Yeah, but then I think he realized, I'm going to have to put too much into this.
87 will play at D3. I can only get it up to 85, 84, 85. So that's, again, another reason my career was cut short. Anyhow, that's a Random Question Tuesday. We'll take a break. We'll come back with some quick thoughts on West Virginia and K-State tonight. The Wildcats seek a second Big 12 win. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. $5.50 on 580 Sports Talk, coming down the home stretch of this one. We've got some overtime for you between 6 and 6:30. Our conversation of the day. We'll re-rack our Monday chat with our NFL insider, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Because at 6:30 is when we'll hand it off to the K-State Sports Network from Learfield. Kansas State at West Virginia tonight in Big 12 basketball action. 7:30, the scheduled tip-off time. According to the line at Prairie Band Sportsbook, K-State a 7.5-point dog tonight. West Virginia has not lost at home this year. They're a top 50 defense in the Ken Palm. K-State still extremely shorthanded. Don't think they're going to have McGriff tonight.
He's out.
They're not going to have, obviously, Bashir. Rapiek, I think, is still out.
He's out.
Moby's out.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're really shorthanded. which again, it's injury on top of the insult, really, for Kansas State at this point. So, no, I'm not picking them to win, and I'm not even really picking them to cover. But the question for this team is, after they got punked on their home floor by Kansas, can we see a little fight? Can we see 40 minutes of competitive basketball? Sign up for 40 tonight, Kansas State. That's what I'm asking from these players. Sign up for 40 tonight. Make it a 40-minute ball game. Don't let go of the rope. I want to see some competitive juice from this team, some proof that that's there, because you just haven't seen it from this team. It's one thing to lose when you're undermanned and you're dealing with injuries and you're on the road to a tough environment. Those are not easy games to win, even in best case scenarios. And so this will not be an easy game for Kansas State to win. It was never going to be an easy game for Kansas State to win. And all of the things that line up against them are not favorable. But you don't get to choose who's healthy, and you don't get to choose how good your opponent is. You don't get to choose how full the gym is and how loud it is. You don't get to pick all that stuff. You get to pick your effort. You get to pick your level of commitment. You get to pick how hard you compete. That's on you. And so that's what I'm looking for Kansas State tonight. Show me some of that. If nothing else, give me a 40-minute basketball game where you compete your tail off for all 40. Because that was not what was in evidence at home against Kansas. And look, if you can't get to it in that scenario, maybe you just can't get to it. But I'd like to be wrong. I'd like to be wrong about this Kansas State team. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will wrap up regulation on 580 Sports Talk. Time for the final word on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Yeah, final word for me today. I am glad the Royals came out and said that site in Overland Park at 119th and Knoll was out of the way. They are no longer considering it because, one, they were never going to get any help from Kansas because that time came and went by December 31st by the Star Bonds, and the Chiefs took advantage of that. And the political people even said so. They said, we're not going to be able to help the Royals. So I think a downtown ballpark or something in vicinity of downtown Kansas City makes the most sense. And it's like nostalgic of a baseball fan. I don't want a baseball park out in the middle of a suburban area compared to where the team name is located. So I'm all for it. Hopefully we hear in the next 6 months a full-fledged plan of where it's going to be.
Final word from me today. You watch Super Bowl 60, you're going to see two teams that are going to take some big swings and try to hit on explosive plays. And two of the teams that were the best in the NFL on a per-play basis in generating explosive plays, 20-plus yard plays, both on the ground and through the air. Nobody was better at it than the New England Patriots. Nobody was better on a per-play basis than the Patriots at generating those plays. The Seahawks were fourth best in the NFL in generating those plays. So when you hear the Chiefs talk about wanting to return to making explosive plays, that's why they're really valuable. Their points, one explosive play usually means you score points on a drive. They can be the difference between scoring points and not scoring points on a drive. Question for the Chiefs is, how are they going to generate those plays? And I really think that just having a running game another team has to respect, instead of the dumpster fire that the ground game was this past year, will go a very long way towards bringing the explosion back to the Chiefs offense in 2026. That'll do it for us today in regulation time here on 580 Sports Talk. We got some overtime, a conversation of the day, re-racking our Monday chat with Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, coming up in just a bit, and then K-State basketball at 6:30. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.